Roots of a Legend. How it all began. The origin story of Beyoncé. Beyoncé Giselle Knowles was born on September 4, 1981, in Houston, Texas, into a close-knit family that blended discipline, culture, and a deep commitment to hard work. Her father, Matthew Knowles, worked as a sales executive at Xerox, a job that demanded long hours and strict professionalism. Her mother, Celestine Tina Knowles, was a talented hairdresser and fashion designer who operated her own salon, Headliners. The Knowles household was structured yet creative, disciplined yet expressive, an environment that perfectly shaped the little girl who would evolve into one of the greatest entertainers of her generation. From a young age, Beyoncé displayed a spark that was impossible to ignore. Her parents noticed her humming melodies before she could form complete sentences. She grew up in a neighborhood where children played outside until dusk, where families attended church regularly, and where creativity often flowed from community spaces like salons, churches, and school events. Tina's beauty salon played a significant role in Beyoncé's early development. The lively environment, filled with music, stories, and the laughter of women, exposed her to confidence, style, and performance before she fully understood their meaning. Her first major musical breakthrough came unexpectedly when she was 7 years old. During choir practice at St. John's United Methodist Church, the choir director asked the children to hit a high note. Beyoncé's voice rose above the others, clear, controlled, and powerful. The adults were stunned. It became immediately clear that this was not simply a child who enjoyed singing. She possessed an extraordinary natural gift. Her parents enrolled her in dance classes at St. Mary's Montessori School. Her dance instructor, Darlette Johnson, noticed that Beyoncé often sang while performing routines. She moved with precision, strength, and passion unusual for her age. Dance sharpened her discipline. Singing fueled her passion. The combination made her unstoppable. At 7, Beyoncé entered her first talent competition. She performed Imagine by John Lennon and delivered a vocal performance that stunned the audience. When the judges announced the results, Beyoncé won first place, beating contestants much older than she was. For her parents, that victory was a signal, one that demanded careful nurturing and structured development. As Beyoncé grew, so did her commitment. She spent countless hours rehearsing at home, practicing in front of mirrors, learning songs, and studying great vocalists like Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, Anita Baker, and Tina Turner. She watched how they commanded stages with both power and grace. In 1986, Beyoncé became a big sister when Solange Knowles was born. Solange would later follow her own musical path, but at that time their home was simply filled with music, routine, and family warmth. The more Beyoncé grew, the more her father saw potential. His business instincts told him that his daughter's talent was not ordinary. She needed direction, training, and an opportunity to be part of something bigger. At 9 years old, Beyoncé was ready for structured performance. Her journey was only beginning. In the early 1990s, Houston's music scene was growing, and youth talent groups were becoming more common. Beyoncé joined a girl group called Tyme, organized by talent scouts looking for young performers with star potential. The group included Beyoncé, Kelly Rowland, who later moved in with the Knowles family due to personal circumstances, and several other girls. Tyme became Beyoncé's first taste of the rigorous entertainment world. The girls practiced obsessively, late nights, hours of choreography, and constant vocal training. Matthew Knowles eventually stepped in to manage the group. He believed they had the potential to succeed on a national level. In 1993, Tyme competed on the nationally televised talent show Star Search, one of the biggest platforms for young performers. The girls were confident, talented, and prepared. However, despite their hard work, they lost the competition. For Beyoncé, the loss was devastating. She had poured her heart into the performance, and the defeat shook her confidence. Yet the setback became one of the most important learning experiences of her life. It taught her that success required resilience and that failure was simply part of the journey. Matthew Knowles believed the group needed restructuring. He made the difficult decision to leave his well-paying job to manage them full-time, an enormous risk that placed pressure on the family. Their income became unstable, leading to financial strain. Tina and Matthew faced criticism from relatives and friends who believed they were risking too much for a dream. But Matthew remained convinced that Beyoncé was destined for greatness. The group underwent numerous changes in membership and style. Matthew tightened their discipline, investing in voice coaches, choreographers, and studio time. He created a training schedule that mirrored professional groups, pushing the girls to rehearse like seasoned performers. As the girls matured, their focus sharpened. Beyoncé emerged as the clear lead vocalist. Her vocal control improved dramatically, and her stage presence became magnetic. Matthew continued searching for a record label willing to sign the group. After years of rejection, meetings, auditions, and near successes, the group finally secured a deal with Columbia Records. With this major milestone, Girls' Tyme was rebranded. The group's name changed to Destiny's Child, inspired by a passage from the book of Isaiah. The name symbolized purpose, direction, and faith, a perfect representation of the journey the girls had endured. Destiny's Child began recording their debut album in the mid-1990s. The lineup crystallized into Beyoncé Knowles, Kelly Rowland, Latavia Roberson, and LaToya Luckett. Their first major release, No, 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 became a moderate hit. However, it was their second album, The Writings on the Wall, that launched them into superstardom. Released in 1999, the album included iconic tracks such as Say My Name, Bills, 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 and Jumpin', Jumpin'. Beyoncé's voice, confidence, and performance style became instantly recognizable. Her blend of vulnerability and strength resonated with listeners worldwide. Behind the scenes, internal conflict brewed. LaToya and Latavia expressed concerns about Matthew's management, believing Beyoncé and Kelly were receiving favoritism. When the group attempted to resolve the issue, the conflict escalated. Ultimately, LaToya and Latavia were removed from the group and replaced by Michelle Williams and Farrah Franklin. The transition was turbulent. Media criticism was harsh. Beyoncé was portrayed as controlling, and Destiny's Child was accused of betrayal. Beyoncé felt misunderstood and struggled with the pressure. The negativity affected her deeply, yet she continued pushing forward. Her work ethic became her anchor. In June 2000, Farrah Franklin left the group, leaving the iconic trio, Beyoncé, Kelly, and Michelle, that would later define Destiny's Child's legacy. Despite public turmoil, Destiny's Child's success soared. Their album Survivor, 2001, became a global phenomenon. The title track, Survivor, directly addressed the group's challenges and silenced critics. Beyoncé's leadership, songwriting, and vocal arrangements became central to their identity. Destiny's Child was no longer just a girl group, they had become an international force. By the early 2000s, Destiny's Child was one of the biggest groups in the world. But Beyoncé was ready to explore her individual voice. Her transition to a solo artist required careful timing. She did not want to appear as though she was abandoning her group. In 2003, Beyoncé released her debut solo album, Dangerously in Love. It became an instant classic. Featuring hits like Crazy in Love, Baby Boy, and Naughty Girl, the album launched Beyoncé into global superstardom. Her sound blended R&B, pop, hip-hop, and soul effortlessly. The success was overwhelming. She won 5 Grammy Awards in one night, signaling the arrival of a new global icon. Her stage presence remained unmatched, dynamic, powerful, and commanding. During this period, Beyoncé also pursued acting. She starred in films such as Austin Powers and Goldmember, 2002, The Fighting Temptations, 2003, and Dreamgirls, 2006. The role of Dina Jones in Dreamgirls earned her a Golden Globe nomination. Her solo career was not just successful, it was explosive. Beyoncé and Sean Jay-Z Carter met in the late 1990s and developed a private, respectful relationship away from media scrutiny. Their partnership represented a merging of two powerful forces, hip-hop royalty and R&B brilliance. They collaborated on several tracks, including 03 Bonnie and Clyde and Crazy in Love. Their chemistry was evident on and off stage. On April 4, 2008, Beyoncé and Jay-Z married in a private ceremony. The event matched their personalities, quiet, intimate, and elegant. Their union soon made them one of the most influential couples in entertainment history. Between 2006 and 2012, Beyoncé entered one of the most productive periods of her career. She released Birthday, 2006, I Am, Sasha Fierce, 2008, and 4, 2011. Each project expanded her artistic range. Her alter ego, Sasha Fierce, represented the bold, fearless version of herself, an onstage warrior who performed with electric precision. This era produced hits like Halo, If I Were a Boy, Single Ladies, Irreplaceable, and Sweet Dreams. Her performances became legendary for their choreography, stamina, and flawless execution. Beyoncé trained like an athlete, rehearsing for hours until every detail was perfect. Her team described her as the hardest-working artist they had ever met. Super Bowl 47 in 2013 showcased her unmatched power. She delivered a performance that solidified her status as an entertainer of historic proportions. Beyoncé's 2016 album Lemonade marked a turning point. The visual album addressed themes of betrayal, Black womanhood, generational trauma, healing, and empowerment. It showcased Beyoncé not only as an entertainer but as a cultural storyteller. The album drew global attention for its honesty and emotional depth. It explored personal struggles, including marital challenges, and transformed them into powerful art. It became a cultural moment that defined an era. Lemonade won critical acclaim, awards, and respect from scholars, artists, and activists. Beyoncé proved she was not just making music, she was shaping culture. On January 7, 2012, Beyoncé gave birth to her first child, Blue Ivy Carter. Motherhood transformed her perspective, strengthening her emotional depth and redefining her artistic priorities. In 2017, Beyoncé welcomed twins, Rumi and Sir Carter. Carrying twins challenged her physically, but Beyoncé approached motherhood with the same intensity she brought to her career: deep love, discipline, and intention. As a mother, she became more committed to celebrating Black culture, beauty, and heritage. Projects like Black is King, Homecoming, and The Lion King. The Gift showcased her cultural influence and artistic evolution. In 2022, Beyoncé released Renaissance, an album honoring dance music, house culture, ballroom artistry, and LGBTQ+ history. It became a global celebration of joy, freedom, and self-expression. The Renaissance World Tour further showcased her brilliance. With futuristic outfits, groundbreaking visuals, and impeccable vocals, the tour became one of the highest-grossing tours by a Black female artist in history. Fans witnessed Beyoncé in her full maturity, confident, bold, visionary. Beyoncé's career spans decades of innovation, discipline, and evolution. She has broken Grammy records, revolutionized visual albums, elevated Black culture globally, redefined live performance standards, stayed consistent in excellence, championed women, empowerment, and creativity. Her legacy is built on discipline, integrity, and a relentless pursuit of greatness. Beyoncé is not simply an artist, she is a global cultural force whose influence will stretch far beyond her lifetime. From a shy little girl in a beauty salon to the world's most decorated entertainer, her story reflects resilience, purpose, and unmatched dedication.